Well, good morning everyone. This is how we start our day. Chloe's doing a bit of reading, learning about finance and money. She's doing her journal. Say good morning to little kombucha. But a few people have asked, not a few, quite a few people have asked about how we navigate, what we use, and how everything's hooked up. So today I'm going to do a bit of dribble, probably far too much dribble, because I could talk about this stuff for days. I really, the technology, and especially now with apps and mobile devices and the way you can integrate different sensors, and you can really tailor make a system to your wants and your needs and your wants, which is what we've done with Spirit. So our main goal when we bought the boat was to use as much of the onboard electronics as we could, and then just to integrate what we had with us, which was, it's obviously our iPads. I'll try and open this up. Now you can see these are the main apps that I use. This is a Victron remote, so it allows me just to monitor the boat. This is the Bluetooth, which allows us to connect to each individual Victron device, like the MPPTs, the solar controllers, the BMS, the lithium batteries. So you can connect directly with that, or the VRM connects via the internet, via a server. Anyway, then we've got Weather 4D, which is just the weather app. Then we've got the Weather 4D, which is the weather and the navigation app. iSailor, which is what I use for navigation and doing my routing in. And then we've got Navionics as well, because sometimes the Navionics charts differ a little bit from iSailor, or not sometimes, quite a bit. And then I've got Orca at the moment, and the B&G app, and up here some more navigation apps that I use. This is just a rope splicing app. Google Earth I use a lot. Ovitel map we used to use more of, we don't use so much anymore. Marine traffic, which is really good, especially now we've got the Starlink. While we're at sea, we can see vessels around us using the marine traffic. We can keep an eye on our friends as well, know where they are. And MIDI Wi-Fi, well, that's just a virtually an app that allows you to view data that's coming in on the NMEA remote, the same thing, and N2K view, the same thing. Active Captain with the Garmin just connects to our chart plotter, so it'll allow this screen to duplicate whatever the chart plotter has on it. Yellow Brick for racing, I watch some of the multi-hull races and that with that, especially some of the big Trimaran stuff. Time Zero, which to be honest I think is crap. I'm really disappointed with Time Zero. I've done the free trials and it's crap. I'd expect a lot more from that app, to be honest. It's really, it's just a poorly designed app. The user interface to me is crap, especially when I compare it to things like iSailor, which to me is just brilliant. Same, iNavX used to be a lot better. CMAP, a lot of them now are going for the subscription. They're really expensive, and that's, I have to say, that's why I just come back to iSailor again and again, because I've bought the charts. You can see here when I zoom out, all those black squares are charts that we own, all through the Med, across the Atlantic, through the Caribbean, all the Pacific. So they're not making me pay a subscription. You buy the charts, you own them. If you want to update the charts, you pay a subscription, which to me is fair enough. But it's like, once you buy a paper chart, you don't have to keep paying a subscription for that paper chart every year. And I just think, why do you have to do the same for a digital chart? If anything, these charts are, once they're produced, they're even easier to update. Once things become digital, they're the costs of production and sending updates out there is greatly reduced. And it's just easy. It's easy to do a route in this app. And I've got a lot of videos on how to do routes. I'm not going to go through that type of thing. What I am going to talk about though is how we integrate, now if I come up here, how we integrate things like the wind, so that you're getting the wind data on iSailor. Okay, and the way we do that is we have our NMEA backbone. We have a little backbone up here, which is just behind the nav, so you can see the B&Gs there, it's an old Garmin GPS, which we will replace with a new Furuno, probably a GP33. And then we've got the touchscreen for the Victron there. And that's our little Garmin InReach, which does all of our tracking, which is brilliant. This thing is amazing. It'll do 10 days of tracking. To me, this is a replacement for an EPIRB. It's so much better. It gives out of position, well, you can set it, but we have it for every 10 minutes. So when it's turned on, it tracks us, puts a position every 10 minutes. And it's got an SOS function. You can communicate via text basic with it. And you can connect it to your iPhone and send messages if you want that way, or you can use the little screen on it and send messages. So it's, you know, to me, that's just, look at the size of it. And 10 days, you'll get 10 days out of a battery once it's, you know, roughly, depends on how often you've got the tracking set. But, you know, an EPIRB, you don't even know if someone's picked it up. And whereas this, you can communicate and you actually know because you're speaking to people with it via text. It's got an SOS function there as well. Yeah, it's super, super cool, very cool. We can throw it in our backpack if we go tracking ashore and take it with us as well, and use it as an emergency device. Now another cool thing I wanted to talk about as well is, like, you see a lot of people when they come into anchor wearing headsets today, big clunky headsets with the microphone and everything, and they're really big. Or you see them yelling at each other, one from the helm. Something Chloe and I do is we use our earbuds. I'll put one in, I'll just wear one in one ear. She will put hers in, and then we put our phones up just on the saloon roof and we call each other. And this is something that we've only been able to do since we've got the Starlink. You can do it as long as you've got you need data, you need the internet virtually to do this, but it allows us to communicate with each other we just ring each other on WhatsApp, and then she's up the bow and we talk to each other very gently. Everything's really calm and you're not yelling at each other. But it's just a cheaper, to me, it's, you know, most people have got some earbuds these days. You've got a way of talking, you know, with your earbud to your phone via Bluetooth. Most people are operating coastal anyway, where they've got the internet, and or you're in cell range, or if you're cruising internationally in remote places, you might have a Starlink. So you just stick one of those in. Your partner or crew member up on the bow's got one in, you're communicating via WhatsApp, and it's just really nice. You're not having to yell at each other. You know, I can ask Chloe, okay, is there any coral under us? Is the bottom clear and sandy? You know, I can tell her, okay, let out 10 meters, I'll pull back, and then, you know, once the chain's coming up and, you know, we've got a little bit of tension on it, run it out. Yeah, it's just really nice because there's no yelling, very calm, and a really nice way to communicate with people that are on the bow. Now we've got our NMEA backbone here, and into that instrument, or into that backbone, sorry, is everything. The B&G screen, then we've also got a power going in here, and then we've got another connection here from the AIS, and then this down here, this is called a yacht devices, and these are a couple of $100, and they are awesome. This is how we connect the iPad wirelessly to the wired backbone of the NMEA 2000 via this. You just plug this in, they're plug and play, they're so simple. I've had a lot of these different devices, digital yacht and a heap of them. And if you want one that is really simple, that just works, and you plug it in, it doesn't have too many crazy settings. Well, this has got a lot of settings. It's very in-depth if you want to go that route. You can filter sentences and do all sorts of crazy stuff, but you plug that in, you log into it. So I'll come up here to the iPad and I'll log into it. This is it here. So you can see we're logged in. Here's our connection. So we connect that. That then is connected to our little router. That's our onboard router. And then that router comes down here, and that's the power supply. So, sorry, I'm just climbing under the nav table. So this is our power supply. So this is how we power the Starlink via 12 volts or 24. You can do either 12 or 24. So you have you've got I think the Starlink's about 50 something volts, 52 maybe. Anyway, so you've got to have a step up. So this thing goes in and does a power over Ethernet, and then you've got this connection here. And so this power over Ethernet and plugs into this, and this is really just an adapter that allows us to plug in a Starlink to an Ethernet cable, so we didn't have to cut the Starlink cable. So this is what supplies power over Ethernet. This is a converter for the plug, and that's it. And then that powers our little router here, and then that creates our onboard Wi-Fi network. So we have an onboard Wi-Fi network called Spirit XL. And then once you get this up and running, you connect that as your onboard network. And then once you've done that, you can see even Weather 4D, a lot of these apps now allow for NMEA. See here, the NMEA settings. So I go here and I go use NMEA. You can see here, you should be able to see your different inputs. Anyway, so I'm just going to zoom in on where we are and then show you how it works. You can see now it's picking up all these blue boats, all these blue targets are boats it's picking up via the internet, and then the green one is the green ones, like these targets down here and this target up here. So I've only just turned it on, so it's not going to get the vessel names for a minute, take a couple of minutes. But the green ones are targets that it's getting via the boat's onboard AIS, which is coming through again via the yacht devices. Okay, so again, that there connects to our wireless network, and it shares all of the data it's getting off the NMEA backbone, which is our depth, our wind, heading, every bit of data that we've got going into the NMEA. This picks up, sends it out over the Wi-Fi, and then we pick it up on the iPad, and it's brilliant. Yeah, it works really well. It was super easy to set up. You know, you do have to read the manuals and do a little bit of research online with Google, watch some YouTube videos, but all the info's there. And if anyone wants to set up a system like this, just give me a shout. I'll be more than happy to help you with it. And we're using more and more, we're using this Weather 4D app. It can be used as well for navigation. You can see here, if I go in under map, here we go. So you can see now there's the charts. So we're getting, these are British Admiralty hydrographic charts. These are just a normal raster. They're virtually just a copy of the paper charts, digital copy. You can see here's a boat that we're tracking via the AIS. And what's really cool is this app will allow us to, you can click on a boat and see it gives you the trail. It'll give you the boat's trail, which is awesome, especially if you've got, if you're in a busy area, you can see the history of the boat. So you can see when it's turning and what it's doing relative to yourself, which is really good for collision avoidance. And then, yeah, you can see we're in Norway. This is now marina here. They've dug this out and put a marina in. And we're just here checking it out. because we may come up here at one cyclone season and spend a season here, base ourselves around these islands because they're huge. This is a massive area, and you know, you could easily spend a year or two just cruising around the islands of Fiji. But you can see here I've done a route. This is our last leg back towards Australia, and here's our route here, and we can go onto the GFS and you can see the weather overlaid on the chart, and you'll see the weather change. Yep. Anyway, that's pretty much how we've got the system set up. And then we've got the iPad up here, the little one. This is just a really old Mini that we've got. This is about nearly 10 years old, so it's only just working, and it's really a backup. We have all our nav apps, our basic nav apps on it. And then I use this as a screen that's pretty much just on all the time. And it monitors the Victron. So I just leave it on, but you can see it's pretty old and it's pretty slow, but it's perfect. It's just a screen that sits there and that's on, and that we can look at to monitor how the power and everything's going with the Victron without having to turn the little touch screen on and off all the time. So yeah, you can see we're putting in 15.5 amps in via the solar. We're using DC, that's the 12 volt side of the DC. We're using 85 watts. That's really the USBs, this type of thing, and also the Starlink. It runs off the 12 volt. And here's our two solar panels. They're divided port and starboard. So port side we're putting in 8.7 and starboard we're putting in 13.8. And that's because the port side is just angled in a little bit, the starboard are angled in a little bit, and the sun's just over off our port side a little bit. So they get far better angle. And then yeah, all our temperatures. That's it. So that's a brief overview. If anyone's got any other questions, let us know in the comments. But yeah, this pretty much just shows you how we get the data onto our iPad. And the same thing, it works with the Navionics, and it works with any app that allows you to connect to your onboard Wi-Fi network. And to get your NMEA data, it'll work. And I'll just quickly show you. This is how we do it. You go into sensors, and then you can see here AIS and NMEA connections. You do have to pay to have this activated. I don't think it's a crazy amount, and it's a one-time activation fee. It's not like a subscription that rolls over every year. And so you can see we're connected via TCP up here, but you can connect via UDP. And yeah, I believe TCP allows two-way communication, whereas the UDP is really one-way communication. So if you want this to control the autopilot, you would need to have TCP activated, and obviously you need the autopilot that integrates with it as well. But if we go back now, we should see, yeah, you can see the depth, and you can still see the wind instruments. So UDP or TCP, they both work. The UDP allows multiple devices to be connected, whereas TCP, from my understanding, is only one device at a time. So I normally use UDP because we don't have two-way communication. We don't use the autopilot controls on the iPad to control it. Anyway, that's how you do it. You just click add connection. You put in the, name the connection, protocol, UDP, TCP, and then the address. For UDP, it's really a port number. For TCP, it's an address. You can see up here, I'll go in and show you, port number, UDP, and yeah, it says created a connection, and then TCP at the top. You can see there's the address and the port number. So yeah, pretty easy really, and works a treat. It's awesome. Alrighty. Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to go over as well was things like Orca. I've seen this a lot advertised a lot lately. They're really pushing their advertising, and it looks really cool. But and it looks like it integrates with the BNG autopilot as well, so it would allow you to communicate and to control the autopilot. But you've got to buy their gateway. So we've already got a gateway. We've got this. So why would I want to buy another one that plugs it in that only works with the Orca? You know, they're really limiting themselves. I think the future of navigation and these apps isn't creating a walled garden. I think it's, you know, either creating sensors that connect to everything, or gateways, things that allow the enemy to connect to all the devices, or apps that integrate with everything. I don't think you can create a walled garden. I think those days are over. You'll just look at OpenCPN, you know, which is the open source navigation software. That is getting so good. And I believe one day that it's going to be the best app for navigation. It already is for a lot of cruisers because it's got so much diversity. You can really, you know, if you're a programmer, you can make it do whatever you want. Whereas this Orca seems to be trying to create a bit of a walled garden. And no, it's super cool, but definitely not what we're after. We don't want to be locked into one system. We like to be able to use anything we want. You know, it's nice because we can have Weather 4D, iSailor. You know, I can have, you know, the Navionics. It all works. Something else I thought I'd share is No Foreign Land. This is an app that we've only just started using on this crossing. And it's been, you know, there's a few of them out there now that are trying to be this, you know, social media app for the yachties, which to me, like, you know, they're just trying to steal people's time. And I don't like that. What I like about No Foreign Land is it's really simple. It doesn't have other people's feeds and what they're doing, like all this Instagram and social media crap. It's really just information. So it's like a guidebook written by the people that go to places, and it's awesome. You can download. So I've downloaded Fiji. Where are we? Well, I'm back in French Polynesia there. We can go to our position. But I downloaded this square tile of Fiji so that you don't need the internet. We can be out walking around town and go, oh, hang on a minute, where was customs and immigration? And so here we are here. And you can see the little black icons. That's customs and immigration. So you can click on it. People will give you their hours of operation, and you know, like, it's just a really good info where you can park your dinghy, where you can get laundry done, where you can fill up your gas bottles, little rocks and reefs that people have found that aren't charted, and you can put anything on here. It's really cool, and it's it doesn't show you stuff that you don't want to see. You know, it's just really, here's the information, get what you want. Gives different anchorages, and people rate anchorages and that sort of thing. You can follow boats and friends, and yeah, you can make it what you want. It's really cool. Definitely the best app out there for yachties that we've seen. And another one is Anchor Alarm. This is really cool, and we've been using this more and more. So this is our position here, but I've tried a few of these different anchor alarms, and I like this one because you can set it up to work with your phone, which is great because we've got the Starlink, and as long as you have data on your phone and a connection ashore, you can monitor the boat. And so we can just press start, press OK, and you can see it's putting a ring around the boat, but it's very adjustable. You can you can change the, you know, like if you are anchored close off the back of a reef and the reef's just here in front of the boat, where you can make it like a semicircle, and you can control what area you want the boat to swing in. So it's obviously the red area where you're happy the boat being, and then you can adjust, you know, you can adjust its location and how big it is. You know, you can reduce the size of it and move it all around. Fantastic. And then you can connect the phone, so you can go up here, I think it's up here, and then it'll bring up a QR code. You open the app on your phone, you scan the QR code, and then your phone monitors your boat's location. We were using Find My Friend, but it doesn't really have an alarm system. You can't, you know, it's not as adaptable as this. And this is dedicated alarm monitoring, and it's like $3 or $4, you know, for a year, which to me is minimal. And it's already, you know, a couple of times. It doesn't really let us know that we're dragged. Well, you know, we haven't dragged. So, you know, the thing is we've pulled chain out straight, and but we've not dragged so far, so it's been really good, really good. And I like to sometimes anchor close to a bommy, or I may anchor on the backside of a reef, and I don't want the boat to swing forward, so I've used this, and it's nice because it's just a good way to monitor you know, where you're going. It puts a little blue dot at an interval that you set, which is really cool. Our eye sailor's also got an anchor alarm as well, but it doesn't allow me to. I'm gonna go back. It's in alarms. See, so you've got an anchor watch, but you've got to put it on as soon as you drop the pick. So I get Cloudy to take the iPad forward with her onto the bow, and then when she drops the anchor, she presses that, and it just drops the anchor in one spot. You can't move it, and you can't, you know, it's just a range ring really, and if the boat goes out of that range ring, it goes off. So it's good, but it's very basic, and it needs a good GPS position. So when we have it on, we receive the GPS position. You can go into iSailor and you can monitor, you can go into sensors, and you can see up here, primary position sensor. You can use AIS, the operating system, which is the iPad, or you can get your position via NMEA. So when we're using this as an anchor alarm, we get our position via NMEA. That way we're not worried about the iPad, because the iPad, when it's inside, it gets the position, but it's not as good as the dedicated GPS, which is outside. Okay, well, it's definitely enough blah blah. That's nearly half an hour, so I'll probably put a lot of people to sleep. But any questions, hit us up in the comments, and yeah, be happy to answer them. But that's gives you an idea of how we connect everything, and yeah, hope it helps people out there create their own really cool system. And yeah, one thing, just remember, you can create what you want. That's the beauty of boats and this type of lifestyle, is you're not set by other people's rules. You know, you find what works for you, and you do that. You know, it's one thing that I think is really important, is everyone's got their own idea, their own opinion of what's best, but you work out what's best for you. Gather as much information as you can, and then design the system around what you want and your needs. Okay, all the best everyone. Cheers from Onboard Spirit.